All right, so yesterday I was at work. I was listening to some content. I can't remember who in particular, but it was kind of talking. It was pretty much some NBA talk. It's pretty much what I'll be listening to at work. It got me thinking about your team because I did think your team name did come up in conversation, and I was just like, "Oh, we sure they're not gonna repeat?" Because I'm looking at the other teams and how they. I'm really being serious, bro. I was watching that game against the Bucks. I know you saw it. It was last week.
Yeah,
It felt like late May for real, like late May. That's the type of atmosphere it was, and I'm just watching, and I'm like, what's the evidence? Can somebody? I'm a Mavericks fan. I love the Mavericks. I'm biased. I do feel like if we played y'all, it'll be different. But I don't know how different. I feel like y'all are a different beast for real because of really the defensive issues that y'all possess and the 3-point shooting threat. I feel like when y'all shooting the three at a high clip, y'all pretty much not gonna lose. That's like it felt real Golden State-ish to me because there's
yeah.
so many players that's a threat from three. So take your Celtics, you being a fan, put that to the side real quick. If you were just like a random guy that knew NBA, could you sell me that y'all not gonna repeat?
That we're not gonna repeat. So if I was trying to sell that, I guess I would start with just the Porzingis piece. It's just that he came back to the lineup. We saw him turn his ankle again. So I would say that would be my starting piece. Like he's your unicorn. He's supposed to be a starting center, your defensive anchor, your rim protector. But you got to keep him on the floor. Um, I think we saw how he could sway a series in that Mavericks series, that first game, how he came out and pretty much won them that game. He's averaging 20 points even this season. So we know what he can do. But it's a tough matchup, especially against a team like the Mavericks. If you don't have him, the Mavs got the Twin Towers with Gafford over there and Lively, who Lively I think is going to be even better come this next playoffs with the experience. So and you can't put all that on Al Horford. He's long in the tooth. He's getting older. It's probably his last go at it. So you want to be able to have another big that can come in that's not Porzingis and produce. We got Keto, who I don't really think he's going to be able to provide much. Luke Cornett is just kind of he plays when we up a lot, or he's not really getting a ton of minutes, and you can't really rely on him. So at this point, it's Al Horford that's getting the minutes. He's averaging 30 a game, and you got to have somebody else that can come in and fill that void and help out when it comes to a couple of these teams in the playoffs. It's tough to sell against them just because defensively, obviously, you got some of probably the best defensive backcourt that we've seen in some time with Derek White, Drew Holiday, both can protect the rim, especially Derek White. Then at the wings, you got Brown and Tatum, who can be all NBA defenders if on any given night. So you really don't have anywhere to attack this team. So I think a team that's going to beat them will have to be a very good shooting team, have to be able to stretch the floor with most like pretty much like how Boston can do like a 5-out offense, have to be something similar to that, to where you can kind of put pressure on them, knocking down a lot of shots. And you got to have a good bench because the Celtics got Peyton Pritchard looking like he could be the sixth man of the year right now. And so that's instant offense. So a team that's going to beat them has got to find a way to neutralize him. He's undersized. So, I mean, he can get buckets, but he's undersized. So you got to neutralize him and make sure your bench is putting up good output because the team really doesn't have too many holes to poke at. So you got to just be great at what you got to kind of accentuate whatever you do, whatever you're good at. You got to accentuate it and be almost perfect. So it's tough to sell somebody beating them, but if you're gonna do it, that's kind of how I see it happening. Is hoping
Yeah,
Porzingis been out there.
I think, like you said, I'm gonna piggyback off some of your sentiments. You do have to be a great defensive team, and to add to that, you kind of have to withstand that 3-point barrage. Because one thing about y'all, like you said, y'all gonna shoot the air out the ball, and also y'all gonna shoot it at a high clip as far as volume. From a volume standpoint, y'all gonna get them up. It's a lot of one-on-one basketball that I noticed too, but y'all can't have a lot of success in that. Because at one point it was just like, can Tatum and Brown play together? But now it's like, why would they ever break up? Because I feel like
Mhm.
they can achieve a lot of success together. I really feel like they feed off one another, and I feel like their relationship was always in a good place. Whether the media may have tried to like, I'm not gonna say pit them against one another, or just try to create a narrative that it's two Batmans in a sense. I feel like they're more successful with each other. But if I'm looking at the teams and how they measure up to the Celtics, you got to have a lot. It's a lot of criteria that has to be met. Let me ask you this: from the outside looking in, say it's June, and you see Oklahoma City on the board. That's who the next 7. Are you concerned, or is the inexperience going in your favor?
I'm not really too concerned just because like I think the experience it's definitely a plus, but also I just think that I think we're still a better team even if you take experience out of it. I look at the matchups. I know OKC they got some great wing defenders, obviously with Williams and I mean Shea. He can go. I just think when you compare him to Tatum and Brown, it's just kind of like levels too. I think Shea and Tatum you can put them on the same level. I don't think there's a guy on OKC that is on the same level as Jaylen Brown. And then obviously the one piece that would be like a super advantage you would think against most teams for OKC is Chet Holmgren. But if you got Porzingis, he was kind of like Chet Holmgren before Chet Holmgren in a sense. So I think he kind of can see how he plays, knows how he plays, and it's just a matter of staying healthy with him. So I think they kind of got a counter for that. The guards, I just think it's tough matchups all across the board for anybody trying to go against OKC. And so even a team like OKC who's formidable on both ends of the floor, I still think that the Celtics are like a notch, just a notch above them to where in a 7 games, and that's the thing, a 7 game series, like you got to beat them 4 times out of 7 games. And that's just hard to imagine. It's really hard to imagine.
So I didn't get to see this game, but I do know what took place. It was I believe it was that Saturday after y'all played the Bucks on that Friday. Um, what I heard was the Memphis Grizzlies, the way they approached the game was we're gonna let Drew Holiday shoot because I'm pretty sure you know more well than others, that Drew is having an off season shooting the ball. Um, if I'm not mistaken, they said Drew was like 4 for 19 from that game, and he attempted like 9 threes when a player was more than 10 feet away from him. So I guess it was like, we'll just dare you to shoot these. And I really wouldn't expect the Celtics to really just come out. Like I said, they just exhausted everything in that Friday night game. It was a big ESPN, big televised game, playoff atmosphere against the Bucks. I'm pretty sure they just didn't have the legs. Memphis came in and pretty much did what they were supposed to do. Is this Drew Holiday shooting slump, is that a real thing? Are you concerned? Do you think he'll recover from this?
It's not really too concerning for me because he's never really, even when he's in a slump, he's never really gonna be like a high volume. Like that game, he was high volume. I think he took 17 threes that game and made 4 of them. I think that game was more so the team in general was kind of off on their three. Like we shot 30%. Tatum was 1 for 10. And we know when Tatum is kind of off from three, especially when he's off, it seems like he's shooting more and more to try and get back on, and that can kind of throw you off. So I think it was just the team 3-point shooting that kind of lost it for us more so than it being Drew. It's because Drew, I think he took that one game to try and get right, but I don't see him like he won't like press the issue and keep doing it moving forward because he knows like, hey, even if I'm not scoring, if I'm not shooting well, I got 4 or 5 other guys around me that can, and I can just make my print on the game being on defense and just making timely plays. So I think that game was more of a Tatum and combined effort from the whole team shooting threes rather than just Drew. But yeah, they left Drew open. He missed some easy ones. Wouldn't bank on that happening for too much longer. We've seen slumps. They come and go. I think he'll get out of it. And there's got so many other pieces that can step up and kind of fill that void to where it's not that big of a deal. I don't think at least.
Because I'm really looking at like the biggest threat to y'all. I do like Cleveland against y'all. In the one game we all watched when they played against Cleveland just a little early in the season, y'all had it was pretty much a home game where we saw y'all take and make what felt like every three that y'all attempted and got up to a big lead. And we saw Cleveland scratch and claw their way back into the game by playing defense, chipping away at it slowly but surely. I feel like that is the formula, but I don't know how long you'll be able to sustain that. You won't be able to scratch and claw your way back 3 out of 4 games, you know what I'm saying, or 5 out of 7 games. It's gonna be real hard to do. That's a tough ask for any team. I don't care who you are, because everybody not gonna have the personnel, especially on the defensive end. You have to be able to breeze like the Orlando Magic, for instance. I don't know if they will be able to withstand a barrage of threes by y'all, especially if they can't come back 3 for 3. If you the worst 3-point shooter team, how you gonna combat one of the best 3-point shooting teams? Because y'all gonna shoot a lot of threes. Some games y'all gonna make a ton of threes, and it's gonna just feel overwhelming. I feel like a team like the Cavaliers, I feel like the Mavericks. I feel like the Knicks. I feel like those are kind of the teams that's more equipped because more personnel is in place to be able to combat that. And if you need to trade, I feel like Clay, Kyrie, Luca, PJ, Najee, Quentin, like we got players that are formidable from three. We have serviceable players from the 3-point line. The Orlando Magic. I don't know if they have any. The Oklahoma City Thunder show and Shea. This is the one part of Shea's game where, like, if he unlocked this, he kind of unguardable. And last night we saw him make threes. It's like once he's shooting the three, top 2-point guard. You know what I'm saying? I don't know nobody that could guard Shea for real. Like, hey, so he got the herky jerkies. Like, it's like you're in front of him, but you're really not in front of him. Can't nobody stop him from getting to his spot. And for me, it just feel like he automatic. So I feel like I just went on. I just feel like I just went on a rant. I don't even know why I was trying to playing that for real, but I'm just steady looking at the teams. I feel like the Mavericks and the Thunder really the only two. I feel like y'all might wipe the floor with anybody else in the West. To be honest,
I will say in the East, the one team that like the team that I think that I was kind of off on early in the season, but they've been coming along is the Bucks, and we saw that game last week. Like it was Middleton's first game back, and it felt like a playoff atmosphere. The Bucks, they really had that game in the fourth quarter. They just kind of made some mistakes in that fourth quarter and let Boston was more poised down the stretch, is what I'll say. Just because they got the experience, they've been there, done that. But Milwaukee showed like, hey, we on and we got our what's supposed to be big three, and we relatively healthy. We can compete with anybody. So I think there's history there. Giannis is itching to show that him and Dame is not just it's not a waste. Like, and he's always been a tough matchup, obviously for anybody, but for the Celtics especially, he's a tough matchup for us. So I'm thinking that's my Eastern Conference Finals right there is Boston and Milwaukee. And with a player like Giannis, who I got Boston, Milwaukee in the Eastern Conference Finals. And I think Giannis is going to be the best player in that series, but I think Boston should be the better team. So it's going to be real interesting to see like which Dame we get, if Dame is able to kind of have some big moments for them, like we've seen them have for Portland in the playoffs. It could be a 6-7 game series because they're gonna come out there and compete. They got great coaching over there, and you got superstars. So that's kind of a good recipe to take down a top seed is by having they got everything over there in Milwaukee. So we're gonna see.
yeah, something's starting to fall in place just a tad. Giannis is kind of playing like the best player right about now. Like what 31, 32, and like 12. Dame is like 25 and 7. Middleton is definitely going to be the X factor. I do like the Torian Princes, the Gary Trent Juniors, the AJ Greens.
Yeah.
I like that around him. I feel like there is some 3-point shooting in place. I feel like it just come down to Chris Middleton. Hopefully, he can stay healthy and get the reps. I feel like they'll be able to figure something out and probably get the seeding to eventually see y'all in what will be a Eastern Conference Finals. Even though I feel like this year that road will be a little tougher for anybody for the most part. The Cavs look way better. The Magic look way better. The Knicks, they not the best. They not the defensive team they were last year, but offensively, I feel like they took a step forward. The only team really that I had high hopes for was Indiana. They kind of like took a step back. I don't really know what's going on. I'm gonna have to dig deep and pay attention to what's going on over there. But yeah, man, this was pretty much. I was trying to make the case that they won't repeat. I'm sorry if I let any Mavs fans down. I love the Mavs as much as anybody, but I'm looking at like teams like the Thunder, like the Celtics. It's a certain level of intensity that you just gotta be able to match because I feel like once they turn it on, hey man, good luck. Buena suerte. But you got anything?
I will say, and one thing with the Bucks, like when it comes to Doc Rivers and his coaching, one thing I'll give him credit with is that he's had a success in the past, kind of singling out like players to attack on the opposing team. And he's had success like of either getting them in foul trouble or taking them out of a game sometimes. So if they went that route and I don't know which player they would choose to take out the game, I would assume it would try and be Tatum, but I can see them having some success. But yeah, I think Boston is their chances of repeating. I think this team is probably the first time I really expected the team to repeat since like it was like Golden State. They had KD and Steph for them, like when you kind of felt like it was automatic. I almost feel like that with this team. So I feel like barring like something dramatic or miraculous happening, I don't see it. It's just hard to see somebody beating them 4 out of 7 games. So
the last team I
that makes me happy, but I don't know.
Mine was Denver. I kind of thought Denver was gonna run that back. I just couldn't see a reason why they wouldn't win, because I knew y'all was eventually gonna kick the door down. I just knew like y'all just had to kind of get the experience. Tatum and Brown kind of had to take that next leap in order to get it done, and I feel like y'all was able to do it. Now, with y'all playing like this and like the West getting better, I don't know what I'm doing with Denver at this point. I feel like we'll probably get into that soon, but
Yeah.
hey man, I appreciate you for pulling up, my guy.
I appreciate you having me, bro.
Oh yeah.